New on Curiosity Stream.
Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean you can't.
Watch Earth's greatest minds forge our path to a better tomorrow. It's engineering the future. And Jaws, Star Wars, The Godfather, E.T. The biggest movies have even bigger music. From King Kong to The Dark Knight. See how musicians scored Hollywood's greatest hits on great film composers' music of the movies. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit CuriosityStream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
Hey, Ola, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
And away we go. Welcome to Season 16, episode number 3,392. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, and Mike Hawk. And you are in the Men's Room. On tap today, the return of Who Sucks Less. We will play Profile This. Plus headlines, a Men's Room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Click, clack, drinkity, dry.
All right, here we go. Florida man threatens to kill cops while riding an airboat up and down the neighborhood in his street. Meanwhile, we head to Denmark, where a children's cartoon features 25 pounds of swinging meat. Here's where we're at. 15 million people believe that Helen Keller was a fraud. Florida man who threatened to burn house down has mugshot that you can applaud. And a porch pirate in Canada learns the importance of all-wheel drive. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, all of us, every single person here, we had to grow up under some set of rules. And generally speaking, the rules are there to keep us safe or make us responsible. But sometimes, well, the house rules, they're just stupid, or they're petty, or they're weird, but you had to live with them anyway. For example, there's a mom who's gone viral because her daughter recorded her kitchen rules, if you will. In a nutshell, the 2 towels hanging in the kitchen, only one of them is to dry your hands. All right, that's fair enough. The other rule is for, well, we don't quite know. See, she has 2 sets of glasses. One of the sets of glasses is there to fulfill its destiny and allow you to drink out of them. The other ones are there, and this is according to the mother, and I quote, just for pretty. Just for pretty. What a brilliant mother. Whatever. But a lot of parents had quirky rules. A lot of times it's what you could watch. And look, I'm pretty liberal about what my kids can watch, but I definitely put my foot down on Deadpool. My son wants to see it so bad. I'm like, bro, it's not the violence. It is the language. And even then, I don't mind them hearing some language, but they delve deep into the adult world. That's also why I can't let them watch The Boys. Again, it's not the exploding heads and all the violence. It's everyone's a C word. I mean, everyone is the C word. Just can't watch it. But when it comes to children's shows, hell, I don't care. Oh, wait. There's now a show out of Denmark about a character named John Dillermand. And he does all kinds of extraordinary things and has all kinds of extraordinary adventures. About his penis. That is what the show is about. It is about the character and the things he can do with his penis, I think I would take a hard pass on that. But look, when you were growing up, there was some kind of strange rule. Maybe it was normal to you. Maybe you recognized that it was insane at the time. But today we want you to revisit your childhood and share with us the answer to this question. What was the most unique rule of the house growing up?
Be part of the big show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
New on Curiosity Stream.
Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean you can't.
Watch Earth's greatest minds forge our path to a better tomorrow. It's engineering the future. And Jaws, Star Wars, The Godfather, E.T. The biggest movies have even bigger music. From King Kong to The Dark Knight. See how musicians scored Hollywood's greatest hits on great film composers' music of the movies. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit curiositystream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
$20 million, $19 million, $6 million. These are all awards recovered for clients of Phillips Law Firm. To win big, you have to fight big. And Phillips Law has been fighting the too-big-to-fail insurance industry for decades. Not every case will have a multi-million-dollar outcome, but Phillips Law will fight just as hard to recover the outcome you deserve. If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or on the job, call or click today at 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Paw Patrol's and away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3,392. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. Once again, Steve the Thrill Hill, the exciting return of Who Sucks Less. You bring us 3 stories from the news. It is hard to find stories in the news that suck. Somehow you do this.
It really is.
You find 3 every week, bring them to us, and then it's up to us to determine out of the 3 stories which of the 3 suck the least. How are we looking this week on Who Sucks Less?
To be fair, Mike, I think you'll agree. This is just 3 stories. They're very similar. Each person is just doing their duty.
I think I understand maybe where this is going.
I concur.
Okay, yeah. On Who Sucks Less. And our question today, we all know about rules. There's all kinds of rules in life you live by. Maybe it's the rules of the relationship you're in.
Sure.
It's the rules of the school you go to. It's the rules of the home. It's the rules
HOA.
of the state.
God, HOAs are the worst.
Yeah.
They really are, man.
Everybody's got rules, right? So we try to follow as many rules as we can. And they all, they differ. Look, different states have different rules.
Sure.
You can go to certain states, you can bet on sports. You can go to certain states, you can get illegal prostitution. You go to other states, do other things. You can smoke marijuana in some, you can't in others.
Well, that's why a lot of those states, that's part of their tourism.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah. Absolutely.
What's the only reason, Ted, you ever went to Carson City, Nevada?
For prostitutes.
Right. It's a legal brothel.
Yeah.
And that's it. Why else?
Actually, they're escorts.
They're escorts. Fine.
And
would you have ever gone to Carson City under any other circumstance that you can think of?
Nope. Unless maybe on the way to Lake Tahoe.
They have an In-N-Out burger.
Yeah,
and you're on your way to Lake Tahoe.
Right. I never would have stopped in Carson City.
That's
No offense,
exactly.
Carson City.
Yeah, you probably would have gone from Reno, though, and just kind of jumped over and met some Carson City.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's it.
You don't really go that way to go down.
You know how much I love the history of looking for gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Nothing more exciting than that. Oh, they also have legal prostitutes. I didn't know that, honey.
Well, there was a reason before weed was legalized. At least when we were on the East Coast, every guy wanted to go to Amsterdam.
That was everything.
2 places.
Right?
Thailand, I don't know why, the beaches.
The beaches.
And Amsterdam. That was always the goal. You know what I mean?
And that was it. For one reason. Because they got weed. No one... Look, a lot of the people that went to Amsterdam, when they got back, they would tell me things like, man, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. There's a lot of history there. Right. But nobody went there for that purpose. Everybody went there to go smoke weed.
Because of the rules. The rules are that you can smoke weed there. Now,
and they had a red light district, which goes back to the legal. So you had weed and legal prostitution.
And tea shops.
Right.
So you could go in, maybe get a little psychedelic in you and walk around, go to the museums, go to the chocolate factories. It sounded like a pretty good time. I think you can still do some of that. They banned certain things as far as, and believe it or not, I believe we can once again attribute this to our fine friends over in England. When they go on holiday, they tend to get a little bit more rambunctious than a lot of the other countries. And so there are specific rules for English tourists. As far as letting them stay in hotels.
Well, you got to keep in mind, too, when English go on holiday, like in the States, when we get a vacation, you're lucky if you can glue 2 weeks together, right? And typically that is the extent of our vacation. 2 weeks is considered a long vacation. Holiday, let's say 6 weeks. So it's one thing to say, all right, we got some rowdies staying in our hotel, which would be everywhere in Vegas, but Vegas knows we're only there 2 or 3 nights. And then we're gone. We can turn it over. In England, if they check in, man, they're here anywhere from a month to a month and a half.
Sure.
That's a different animal.
Right. I mean, and look, and we question rules from the time that we're a kid.
Why?
Until the time that we're an adult. Difference is who's in charge of making the rules.
And what the response is.
So look, Mike, you used to live out 90 for a while, right?
Say what now?
You used to live out 90 for a while, right? You used to head east and get on 90 and take off down the highway, right? Well, you go away before the speed limit actually turns to 70. You gotta be near Snoqualmie Casino, a little bit past Issaquah.
Right.
And on your
right
way
around northbound.
But it's the same highway, right? You know what I'm saying? So, but it's 60, okay? So sometimes I'm driving through there thinking to myself, geez, this should be 70. So
should be.
Maybe I'll go like 65. Maybe I'll go like 69, 68, 71. Sometimes I'll go 75. Either way, I'm admittedly breaking the law. I know the rules, but in my mind, this is a highway. I don't get this crap. Why the hell isn't it 65, 70 miles
an hour? But it also helps that the punishment for breaking that rule is not so bad.
It's not.
Right? So it's
I'm going to break out my wallet.
If my kid breaks the rule of the house and the punishment is you got to wash dishes, that's like getting a speeding ticket. Yeah. If it were, hey, if we catch you speeding, we break your legs, like everyone's driving the speed limit.
Sure.
But you're like, yeah, I can par with $80 because either I get caught or I don't. Right. If I don't get caught, I got to haul ass. If I do get caught, here's $80.
Now I got a trunk full of methamphetamine. All right. I'm driving 55.
You would hope.
You know what I'm saying?
57.
I'm not going to be one of those dealers who does my own drugs. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have it together.
Ted's right.
I'm not going to have the sweats.
Do 57, 55, like
57.
Again, if I'm a cop, because if you're going exactly the speed limit, if I'm a cop, like there's something because nobody is. Everyone's going
but under normal circumstances, you pull me over, I'm going 72. All right, here's my credit card.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'm not even going to contest this. The hell with it. I know the rules.
But also, under normal circumstances, the cops don't ask to look at my trunk.
Exactly. And I don't have to worry about it at that point in time. Because I wouldn't be going 72 miles an hour if I crap my trunk.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I got like 3 kids in the back of my trunk that, you know, I'm taking to sell out in Spokane.
See, I don't trust
the speed limit.
So I don't trust any. If you're a police officer and you're listening, don't trust anyone going the speed limit.
Right.
They're up to, because everybody wants to speed. You know goddamn well they want to speed. So in theory, if you're hiding somewhere, as you guys love to do, if they're going the speed limit, like, I'm pulling your ass over. I have reason to suspect there's something in your trunk.
Which is the irony, because I drive the speed limit everywhere I go.
Sure.
Hey, they're not all going to be wins. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll offer you an apology. Say sorry.
Well, just like what is last call? Last call is one of two things. Look, we're telling you when we're going to cut you off. Mm. You know you can get another beer if you want. We're just giving you the warning right now that if you don't order this beer right now, we'll let you sit there a little bit afterward and drink it because you ordered it before.
But last call is also fluctuating. In theory, it is 2 a.m., but some bars, you know, they're ahead of time by 15 minutes. Sure. Other bars slow down by 15 minutes. Other bars give you the exact time, but you never, now with phones, you definitely know. But before that, you weren't quite sure. So they'd call last call at 2. You're like, cool. But you realize it's only 1:45. Sure. They're 15 minutes ahead.
And because you got to close the doors generally at 2.
Right.
Like I worked at a place in D.C. where like we would call on the weekends. I think I would say we could stay open till like 2:30 or 3. But if you didn't call it a half hour ahead of time, you were never going to get everybody out of the bar.
It's impossible.
No. Yeah. But you also closed the doors for a reason.
Right.
Because, and you know those places. You know, I knew growing up where I could go, where I could get into a bar.
Locked in.
Where I could get locked in, where I knew the bartender. Hell, Steve and I went down to San Diego probably 3-4 years ago, right? And we were looking for weed. We go into this club. We're cool with people. They seem to be nice to us. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people in there. They locked the doors.
And kept us in there.
Yeah, that's where we got our weed.
But they kicked everyone else out. Said, no, man, you can stay.
You can stay.
Okay.
We're like, all right, this is a cool place.
So we did. We smoked weed.
Yeah, we smoked
weed.
And
during more, that's the thing. They kept they had closed, but they're like, well, hey, if you fellas want to keep drinking, we'll keep giving you beer. Just give us cash. We're like, I'm down with this. And we probably rolled out at like 4:30. But keep in mind, everyone else that was there is a local. They
don't
kicked
work
out.
there.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, when you're, kind of skirting something, when you're not. But when you're a kid, none of this stuff makes sense because everybody has different rules. Your friends' families have different rules.
Yep.
You have different rules when you go to your grandparents' house.
Right.
Different rules when you are in your house. You know how you're expected to act in your house. You know how your friends are expected to act in your house.
Yes.
And I brought this up earlier. Not that this is the biggest one in the world, Ted, but I think it's something that you would appreciate. When you're a kid, you have one pair of tennis shoes. Yeah. And until that pair of tennis shoes basically runs out, you might have a pair of dress shoes. They don't fit anymore.
You got a pair of dress shoes. Homie, you're not trying to wear them.
But you got one pair of shoes.
You are not trying to wear them.
These are the shoes that get wet. You're playing all summer in the rain, the sun, the mud, going to the lake, whatever you're doing, floating down a river. These are your shoes. And for the most part, as a kid, you don't even have, most of the time, matching socks. Or socks without holes. Or socks that aren't just completely stained.
Or you might not just be wearing socks and just getting those shoes all funky.
Exactly. And the shoes are going to be funky because you get them
and
wet.
Here's the problem.
You get them muddy.
Because now, say you're 12, 13, you're entering puberty where things change and everyone smells worse.
But guess what? We've been out all day, and now we're going to go to my buddy Patrick's house. And his mom had no problem making us macaroni and cheese or pizza rolls. They were stocked.
Sure.
Right? So we're going to have a snack. We're going to Patrick's house. Problem is, you got to take your shoes off. Now.
Right. See, but keep in mind, here's the thing. When you were growing up,
but these are 6 kids.
Little, I remember a lot of people saying that. They had the no-shoe rule. But as Miles pointed out, he goes, all right, well, now we're 14. I don't know what you remember about being 14 and pulling off your shoes, but if you did it on a plane, the oxygen mask would drop out.
That's what I'm cringing thinking about being in high school and going to somebody's house, and they were like, "Oh, you can't wear your shoes in
First
here."
of all,
and it was like, "Oh my god!"
First of all, my socks don't match; they have holes in them. My feet smell. My shoes at the door. You wouldn't even want to walk into that house.
Yeah,
getting past that waft of kid shoes that are sitting there. I mean, it's the equivalent of bringing home a bag of football gear.
Yeah.
I mean, that you practiced in all week long, sweat, got wet, got grass stain, got mud all over them. But now you're just leaving it there in the open. And I was so embarrassed half the time because I knew my feet stink.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your parents let you know first.
I didn't have a pair of matching socks. I realized that. That's my fault. I'd lose one, get a big hole, throw it away, didn't matter.
You're a kid, whatever, man.
But normally I did not walk around in someone's house in socks.
I'm with you. And kids aren't smart enough to put powder or deodorant stuff inside their shoes.
I will say, dry your shoes out before you put them back on.
You didn't care.
It's your only shoes, So it's like if they're wet, they're wet. If you went to the lake, your shoes are wet.
But you got used to it. You knew you were going to put on wet-ass shoes all day. It didn't matter. They stunk. Your parents I got to the point my father was like, look, man, if you're going to walk into the house, either keep your shoes on. If you're going to take your shoes off, put them outside. And that includes, when you go to your bedroom, even if your door's closed, your shoes go outside. That's probably 3 years of my life. Right. And it's the teen years, man, because everything, I knew they stunk. Usually you get used to your own stink, fart, body odor, whatever. My feet bothered me, man.
And you
you pull off your shoes and you're like, look, I can recognize that this is horrible. And you're right. It's so embarrassing. It's so humiliating.
If I'd have walked in the house just as is, on a hardwood floor, right, you wouldn't have any idea. I just wiped my feet. Now I'm leaving these wet footprints of slime that don't seem to dissipate from the hardwood floor. Everywhere I walk, it's not drying. You know what I mean? It's here's where I was. You know what I mean? It keeps following me every step I take, and I'm looking down going, oh, God. You know what I mean? I'm just spreading my crap everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of kids' first names right now of houses that you couldn't wear shoes in.
Yeah, I can remember them. It's weird now because, having kids, a bunch of kids come over to our house, whatever the case, back in the days when this happened. But you can tell the kid, they come from the house where you did not wear shoes in the house. I mean, they walk in, and before they even move from the front door, their shoes are off. And I'm like, look, I don't care because I got 2 kids. I got a dog. There's a cat. There's me. Dude, I've puked on the floor. I don't personally care, but I understand a lot of people do. But it's crazy to me when I see their parents will walk in and instantly, man, shoes off. But also, a lot of parents will ask, hey, man, they never say, is it cool if I keep them on? What they ask is do you need me to take my shoes off? I'm like, no. And I will say 100% of the people that had a look of relief have been dudes. So even if a couple comes over, do you need to take off our shoes off? It's like, I don't care. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's a floor. Right. The look of relief on the guy's face every time, thank God.
I have a rule about no shoes.
I think it's cultural, too, sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, I know, like in Asian culture, it's hugely important to take your shoes off.
Yeah.
Right? And I get it. You know, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, I've got my daughter spent some time in Japan, and she takes her shoes off whenever she walks in the house. Just that's her thing. But there's one time of the year, and it just happened, where I have the no shoe rule. And it lasts for a little bit, and then I kind of forget about it. Do you guys have any clue when this is?
No.
I just had it done about 2 months ago. Had my buddy Kevin come over.
Cleaned your floors.
And he shampooed
the carpet.
Okay.
All right.
And when that happens, for some reason, I'm like, all right, I'm implementing the rule. No shoes.
I get that.
You know
I get
what
that. Right.
Just for like a week. I just want this to look
just want to
okay.
enjoy it, yeah.
For a week. And I walk around my socks like, oh, the floor's still kind of wet. I don't care.
But it's like washing your car. Like, if it's not going to rain for 3 days, it's worth it. Yeah. I know this is all going to go to hell, but right now, no kids, you can't drink anything in the car because we just washed it. Now, when the car gets dirty again, have some M&Ms.
Do you have a food rule for the car?
I don't. I would at my father, and I'm not. You could not drink or eat.
You could not eat in the car.
It didn't matter though. It could be a bottle of water, like I have right here. A bottle of water. So if I do spill it, at worst something's wet, but there is no stain. There is no nothing. You did not dream of drinking or eating anything in my father's car. I told you, man, he picked me and my buddy up. I'm like 10, 12 years old. I'm eating the last M&M. He's picking us up from the movies, is the point. So I'm eating the last M&M from my package of M&Ms, and I'm making it a point to eat them really before I, quote-unquote, get in the car. But at this point, we both sat in the back seat, and I popped this last M&M in my mouth. That's one M&M, and it made it into my mouth. It did not fall. It was not lost. It was in my mouth. I am now crunching this deliciousness, and I meet my father's eyes in the rearview mirror, and his voice gets this weird, like, Darth Vader effect when he's really trying to impact a message on you. And it says, Steven, if I find one M&M in my car, it's going to be you and me. And when my father finished any sentence with, it's going to be you and me, like, you understood, like, this is going to be bad for you. You did not dream it. But as a result of that, you don't eat or drink anything in my mother's car. So now that I have a car and I have kids, I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I
did the same thing.
care.
Stepfather would not. Okay, long trips, wherever we had to go, we had to drive. If I was in the car, we were driving to vacation.
Right.
If not, they got on a plane, and I didn't see him.
That's always the deal.
I was never flying anywhere. That was one of the rules. Like, look, he's only going if we can drive. I was in the back seat. You know, when you're in a car, long trip, car fogs up, whatever. You do not touch the inside of the windows in the back seat of the car.
Oh, with your hands, yeah.
I used to draw stuff on there, breathe.
Yeah, you blow your breath onto the smile.
I'm bored. It's hour number 8. We got 12 to do today.
Are you drawing?
I can't finger art on the freaking window.
No, man, because it'll show up.
Is no. You're not allowed.
No, you couldn't do anything.
You couldn't touch the inside of the window.
You had no control over the radio. I mean, it was just...
That's why it was so fun to put the window up and down.
Yes.
To get like the fog off.
Right.
That's when you got in the car.
But I was not allowed to touch the inside of a window.
We couldn't touch the inside of the window, and at that time, my father had quit, but he used to smoke, man. And we lived in upstate New York. It gets cold, man. And we had this big, it's a 2-door car, so I have no window of my own to control. But he would crack his window to let the smoke out, which I know to him seemed like a good idea. It's like
if you're in the back seat, though, you're just getting hot boxed.
But it's only 8 degrees outside. When the wind is now coming because he's driving 60 miles an hour, I mean, it's like a wind chill of negative 20 degrees. And I just remember sitting in the back and I'd be shivering. And again, we'd meet eyes in the rearview mirror and basically look on his face and like, don't bitch about it. I'm like, dude, I don't think you understand how cold in addition to getting hot boxed, I'm also freezing to death. And I'm 7.
So most parents have different
cherry
and unique rules.
Only once. Only one city hit me with the cherry, man. He was very good about that, but one time came right back in the window, landed on my lap.
Yep. Everybody's got different rules. We want to know yours. Our question: what was the most unique rule of your house growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
New on Curiosity Stream.
Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean you can't.
Watch Earth's greatest minds forge our path to a better tomorrow. It's engineering the future. And Jaws, Star Wars, The Godfather, E.T. The biggest movies have even bigger music. From King Kong to The Dark Knight. See how musicians scored Hollywood's greatest hits on great film composers' music of the movies. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit CuriosityStream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
$20 million, $19 million, $6 million. These are all awards recovered for clients of Phillips Law Firm. To win big, you have to fight big. And Phillips Law has been fighting the too big to fail insurance industry for decades. Not every case will have a multi-million-dollar outcome, but Phillips Law will fight just as hard to recover the outcome you deserve. If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or on the job, call or click today at 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.
You're in the men's room. 99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle.
John Dillerman has an extraordinary penis. So extraordinary, in fact, that it can perform rescue operations, etch murals, hoist a flag, even steal ice cream from children.
With his penis.
That is correct.
How is that okay?
The Danish equivalent of the BBC DR has a new animated series aimed at 4 to 8-year-olds about the one legendary man known as John Dillerman.
This is targeted to 4 to 8-year-olds?
That is correct. The man with the world's longest penis who overcomes hardships and challenges with his record-breaking genitals. Unsurprisingly, the series has provoked debate about what good children's television should and should not contain. Since premiering on Saturday, opponents have condemned the idea of a man who cannot control his penis. Is this really the message we want to send our children while they're in the middle of a huge Me Too wave? Wrote one author. Associate professor and gender researcher at a university said he believed the program's celebration of the power of male genitalia could only set equality back. The show depicts a man who is impulsive and not always in control, who makes mistakes like kids do, but crucially, Dillerman always makes it right. He takes responsibilities for his actions. When a woman in the show tells him that he should keep his penis in his pants, for instance, he listens, which is nice. Apparently, he is held accountable. But either way, the show is about the legendary man known as John Dillerman.
It's not so much that someone came up with the idea. That's an idea that we would come up with after a few beers. Ha, ha,
yeah.
ha. But then, not only do you have the idea, then you go to present it to whoever the bosses are.
Sure.
All right. Now, that to me, I'd already be like, Miles, are you sure we should go in there and present this? Because I just thought it was funny last night. And you say, man, we've got this. And then even crazier, after the presentation, that we're going to do a children's show targeted to 4 to 8-year-olds about a man and his mighty penis and all the things he can do with it, that the boss does not fire us, but he simply says, you know what, man, I'm greenlighting this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And now it's on TV. That's the part that blows my mind. It's not just that it's on TV, but like there's a process that had to go through to get there. And somehow along this process, everyone's like, you know what, man? I think you are on to something. This is what's lacking in kids' TV. And they're right. Penis is lacking in children's TV because it's children's TV.
But let's face it, there were certain things that you were allowed to watch growing up. Maybe this is okay in some homes.
Maybe
it's not in others. It just depends, but those are the rules of the home. Entertainment is a part of that.
That was a big one of mine.
Music, movies, television.
You could watch, probably earlier than we should have, you could watch movies with violence.
Sure. I mean, I'm right there now.
Right. But like the sex stuff was...
And that's what's so weird to me because, you know, like my kid plays Fortnite. So the whole point of that game, in addition to whatever your mission is, you're killing people along the way. And you're killing people real time because they're on their headset somewhere else, right? And you're duking it out. So I'm like, what? When he got his V-Bucks for Christmas, the first thing he did was get better armor, better weapons. And he wants better weapons so he can kill more people. So there's that. It's a video game. Somehow we kind of let that slide. I'll allow some violence on TV. He's pretty good about it. My daughter, she just can't take it, does not like it. She is not about it. And she'll get up and leave. She does not like cussing. She does not like violence. That's why it's so perfect that I'm her father. That's how the world works. But my kid, he's okay with the violence. He's okay with some language. And then there's just the point. Because even when you watch Cobra Kai, right, which is pretty lightweight stuff.
Not really. Not for kids as far as being made fun of, being teased.
But that's real life. I don't mind them seeing that because, like, that's real life.
It is.
That is absolutely real life. Like, right, they call this guy D-Nose because you know as well as I do the kid's nose looks like a penis. That's why he got
Why are you talking about me?
I actually was. But in addition to that, there's karate fights. They drop A-hole all the time. The S-bomb. I don't think the F-bomb makes it on that show, but certainly the S-bomb, A-hole. And he's cool.
You're a P.
Right. And the P gets thrown around constantly. But he gets it because it's in a certain context, and it is kids. Granted, the kids are older than him, but when he plays Fortnite, I know they talk some smack and all that, but I'm okay with that. But then something like Deadpool, and I bring this movie up all the time, where I'm like, it's not even the violence of it. Because again, he can distinct between make believe and real life, but the profanity that they use, like as an adult, it's hilarious. But there's a difference. Like a lot of kids know what an MFer is, but they don't necessarily know what a C sucker is. And I don't want to have that conversation.
Right.
The Boys, which I enjoy quite a bit. You guys watch. I mean, the violence is a bit extreme for his age, but even if you're a little bit older, be like, man, I'm not cool with this one. Again, because they throw around the C-bomb. I mean, everyone on that show's a C-bomb, whether it's good or bad. It's everybody. Everybody constantly. In fact, I looked at my wife the other night and said, I'm pretty sure this show contains more C-bombs than any show that has ever been broadcast anywhere throughout the history of television.
You know, the one that used to almost make me cry growing up that I hated was having to go to church. And it was on Sunday, and I didn't just have to go to church. I had to go to Bible study before church, and then the actual ceremony of church.
Now, wait, when you got dropped off at Bible study, were your parents at the church, or they just dropped your ass off?
They drop you off, and they go do their thing for an hour. They go eat breakfast.
That's why you went to Bible study.
You're there twice as long.
Okay. I mean, look, I went to Catholic school. We always felt bad for the CCD kids because they had to they
stay after.
Right, they had to stay after and stuff. Whereas we could just go to church and leave because we got our religion during the week.
Well, my thing is football. So I just wanted to go home and watch NFL football. Now, my stepfather would get up and he would go to early church. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of early church, but early church was 7:30, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's for football fans.
And it was a condensed version. And
we had a 6, an 8:30, like a 10:30, and a noon.
This was a half an hour.
Yeah,
all right.
Early church is the best. No singing. The priest gets up there, does his thing.
Right.
You're out.
He basically gives the sermon without all the filler.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So that was I was like, look, I will get up. But it was not referred to as early church. The way they spun it was, this is adult church.
That's right.
You're going like Adult Swim.
Because they don't want you there.
Which I hated as well, because like 15 minutes seemed like, 4 days. We're at the pool, we're ready to get back in. But I'm like, it's not adult church, because I had friends that go so they could come back and watch football with their dads. So I knew damn well.
But you said this is a stepdad.
But the rule
he doesn't want to watch football with you.
My home was different and explained different than the actual rules.
Sure.
I could go to early church. Just had to get my ass there, right? And my thing was, if I just go, fulfillment required. Right?
That is the thought.
I did what you wanted me to do. Why can't I go earlier so I can get my ass back here? So at that point in time, because I wanted to watch the Steelers.
Because we're not completely truthful as parents, right?
Right.
So the kid's logic makes sense. Like, dude, if it's the fulfillment of going to church, why don't I get up and go with you? Well, you can't tell them, I don't want to watch football with you. You ask too many questions, or you bug me.
Right.
I want to watch one half of football without your ass sitting here bothering me. See, if we say that, you get your feelings hurt. So we have to come up with a lie, which is, no, this is adult church.
Like, I'm going to get up. You know how hard it is to get me up as a teenager? I don't get out of bed. You know what I mean? Like, come on. It's the weekend. I'm willing to get up at 6:30, shower, wear these pants that are 2 inches to flood high, you know what I mean? And go with you to this thing. What was the most unique rule of the home growing up there? 206-421.
Hello, Cheryl. Welcome to the men's room.
Hi there.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Yes. Muy bien.
So, my rule was when my boys, and boys will be boys first off, and that's cool. I get it.
How long did it take you to accept that as a mother?
Well, I came into my stepchildren, they're all boys. By the way, I have girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I've had both sides of the fence.
Okay.
My boys, they used to fart, and they would stink my husband and I out because they like to play fart wars.
Well, yeah,
that's the only thing you can do in a car other than play on your DS.
Oh, wait, they do this in a car? Yeah, in the car, it might have different rules. Around the house, I'll go to a different route. In the car, like, listen, Holmes, you need to...
So, did you implement a no fart in the car rule?
Well, they could fart, but you had to roll down. You had to say, I got a fart, and roll down the window.
Before you farted. So you had to let everybody know what's coming.
Before you fart.
Now, what is
You do it after you fart. We're not going to McDonald's.
They should do that on a plane. That should be one of the rules. They do the safety instructions just to guilt people into, maybe controlling their flatulence a little bit. Like, you can fart on this plane.
Right.
You just need to announce it ahead of time.
Let us know. Seat 27B.
Exactly.
So, what is your success rate, percentage-wise? You 100%? You 80%?
It was about 65, 80. 65, 70.
All right. Now, were the ones where they did not roll down the window, they did not announce that they had to do this, were they trying to do the one cheek sneak? Did it end up being a silent but deadly?
Yes.
And now, do they fess up?
Or I forgot.
I forgot. Okay. Which, yes, kids forget everything unless you told them something you're going to do with them. But, so, if it's the one cheek sneak.
They won't forget that you told them they could have dessert if they didn't fart in the car.
That's exactly it. Now, will they fess up? Will they admit guilt, right? So if there's three of them in the car, obviously there's a fart floating around. You know one of them's responsible. Will they say, hey, it was me, my bad?
My autistic son, my oldest, yes. He would always go, sorry.
Now, let me ask you this. Since boys were brought to you, because I remember my mom did this when I was 13. I was 13. I was a teenager. This was a big thing for me. And she pulled me aside and, had the teenage talk with me.
Right.
And she also made this proclamation because she was just absolutely fed up. She'd addressed it before, but now she was putting her foot down. She's like, look, as a teenager, you're young. I will continue to do your laundry. However, if your underwear are overly soiled, then you are the one that's going to need to be able to wash your own clothes.
Was this a problem you were having, man?
I think it was.
She brought it up.
I'm being dead serious. I mean, I'll call myself out on this. I do not remember it, but I do remember.
If she brought it up, it was an issue.
It had to be bad, right? Right. And I don't know what it was. Like, I'm meticulously clean.
It was bad.
But then
it was horrible.
Right. There's something about boys. They don't know how to wipe their butt properly.
Wait, are boys worse than girls in your opinion?
No, I think they are.
In my breakdown of things, I would disagree.
Okay, well, I guess it depends on the child.
It depends on...
I was the child that was breaking the rule.
With the dirty butt.
Yes.
I got in trouble for skid marks as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So basically it was this. If you do that, then that is your responsibility. And it gets to the point where I did not have any underwear left. Because I had soiled just about all of my underwear.
But keep in mind,
to some degree,
the soiling.
I streaked them. It wasn't like I was crapping myself.
Right.
I just didn't do a good enough job cleaning up.
It's the skid marks.
Right, that's the thing. Yeah.
Typical skid marks.
I had a friend in high school, and we used to call him that.
What, skid marks?
Skid marks?
Yeah, because same thing. For whatever reason, he just couldn't get it done all the way.
The underwear were tight. They were tight.
They were super tight.
There's a reason that the kids are always picking their butt. It's not like they're wearing $30 Under Armour dry fit underwear.
That has never changed.
You know what I mean?
Kids still dig. It's amazing to me. Kids, they haven't gotten to that point where they feel uncomfortable.
They didn't have boxer briefs.
I'm walking up the stairs the other night with get him out of the basement. We're going upstairs to get dinner. He's like 2 steps ahead of me, but his ass is at the same level as my face because I'm below him as the stairs. And he just grabs the thumb and the pointer. He's just digging in there, pulling out his underwear, still talking to me. And I said, hey, man. And apparently, I'm thinking about it now, I implemented a new rule with him. Say, hey, bro, when you dig in your butt, stop speaking to your father. Like, do one or the other. Try not to do both of them.
In the butt.
He giggled a little bit, but he stopped. And speaking of boys will be boys, one thing we did, we were trying to spread the Christmas cheer. My wife had complained at one point, I'm the only person around here with any Christmas cheer. Okay. So, hey, my bad, man.
Your Jewish wife?
I'll do better, yes. I said, I'll try to do better. So me and my son, we performed, I think it was Jingle Bells with armpit farts.
All right.
She was not really supportive of that.
Why?
That's what I thought, right? Because I was like, hey, man, the armpit farts, so we're doing... We thought it was outstanding. She did not. I'm like, they don't ask for Christmas cheer. Like, that's what you get.
You want cheer, you get cheer.
Yeah, because boys will be boys.
Yeah.
I could ask my daughter, no chance. Him, he was like, hell yeah, let's do it, man.
You asked me for Christmas cheer, getting a shot of whiskey.
What was the most unique rule of the house growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Brett. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Hey, that's the first time I've ever said that. That's a pleasure.
Oh, you should take a vacation in Mexico when you get a chance.
No, don't say it there.
Surely it'll open up again.
They expect it there. Sneak something in. Bonjour.
So, what's your question again?
Our question is, what are you wearing right now?
Actually, I'm in a suit going for a bartending job.
In a suit? In a suit? I mean, look, I worked in restaurants for years, and, you didn't dress like crap, but I never felt the need to wear a suit.
How high-end is this bar?
Yeah, it's high-end.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
high-end.
All right.
Okay, wear a suit.
And, and the only reason I bartend is because I like my days off to play.
Sure. All right.
I dig it.
What are you playing, golf?
Yeah. Golf and then skiing during the winter.
Okay.
So you can't do that. You can't do that during the day if you work during the day.
No, you can't. Well, our actual question was, what was the most unique rule of the house you had growing up?
Well, elbows on the table. And if you put your elbows on the table, Dad would poke you with a fork. So it only took a couple times before we stopped doing elbows on the table.
Where was your napkin located?
On our lap,
All right.
of course.
Yeah. There's
not tucked into your collar. We don't do that.
It depends on the age. It depends on the meal. I remember my grandmother coming around, just like, look, you're not going to, if you're in this shirt, I just bought you this shirt at JCPenney. You know what I mean? You're putting a napkin in your neck.
Yeah, but yeah. On your lap and no elbows on the table.
Now, what about now? Will I catch you with your elbows on the table, or has it been beaten into your head?
No, that would, I'd have to poke myself in the hand with a fork.
Now, does it bother you if you see someone else with their elbows on the table?
I just I don't judge people. I don't care, but yeah.
Oh, here's
what you gotta do.
Here's another rule I had. All right, growing up, and this was basically to maintain a problem that I had. I ate like I had 25 brothers.
Right.
And we had one piece of bread. Okay. So the rule when I sat down, and this was a rule that both my parents implemented, I was not allowed to finish my meal before either my mother or my father finished theirs.
Why?
Because I ate so damn fast that they were just trying to slow me down.
Oh, they're just trying to slow your ass down.
They're just trying to slow me down because they said, you have to eat all your food, but you need to slow down because you
got to choke.
Like they would just sit there and watch me eat in shock. They could not believe how fast I ate. I'd still go back for a second, but just how fast I ate.
Right.
Like I'd never eaten before.
Yeah.
So they implemented that rule to make sure that I chewed my food, that I had discussion.
That is big.
I had discussion during dinner. I could have conversations in between bites. I didn't talk with food in my mouth. All of those things to prepare me for being an adult and eating like someone who wasn't a frickin' caveman.
Mm-hmm. Did you have rules on what you could drink at dinner?
Yes, water.
All right. So I grew up in there. Like we could have you could have soda at dinner.
Sure.
But it was always in a 2-liter, right? Or sometimes you get that knockoff brand that was in a 3-liter.
3-liter. God, they were the worst.
But the big rule was you couldn't pour the soda yourself because kids can't judge fizz.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why, but as a kid, this drove us insane. And at least once a week, either me or my brother was a little bit older, me or my sister would be like, can I pour our own? And then eventually it would overflow.
And they'd say, no, I told you.
You know what, man? I totally forgot about You're right. My parents, same thing, right? You could have soda, we'll pour it for you.
Yeah.
For that exact reason. To this day, like my son, he can pour orange juice, he can pour his own milk. I mean, it's fine. If the gallon is full, maybe he needs a little help. He'll watch, he gauges it, and he stops at the right point. My daughter, man, I will hear her in the kitchen. I know she's getting Cheerios. I can hear her open the fridge. I know she has the milk. And as she's pouring it in, you just hear this cavalcade of Cheerios now hitting the floor because she fills it up like you used to eat, right? He paces it out. She basically turns that thing 180 degrees and just lets the milk dive in there. And just every time I walk in the kitchen, I'm like, how many Cheerios are in your bowl versus what's on the floor? Because she's always on the floor picking them up, throwing them out, or the dog's in there. Like, the dog follows her around. Because, seriously, man, if she has food, that dog's going to get fed. Not because she feeds the dog, but because nothing stays in her mouth or on her plate. Or like she's eating blueberries the other night, and you could hear the little, oh, no! Then she starts yelling at the dog. I'm like, you can't get mad at the dog. You just put 500 blueberries where she lives, which is on the floor.
Yeah.
Just let her eat them up and pick
Rule
up the
going out, if we went out to dinner, everybody had to have water. Because as my stepfather would say, the drinks is how they get you.
Yes, it is. But
that's how see that bill right there? That bill's $20. If we got drinks, if everybody got a Coke, that bill would be $25.
Well, right. The other one we had, too, was you had to eat from the kids' menu, right?
Yes.
And then you get to, like, basically until you couldn't, then you could order something else. And then it was like, kind of parents kind of judge what you're going to eat.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember, man, I don't know, 5th grade, 6th grade, something, We win our little Catholic League baseball, right? So they said, Teddy, we can take you wherever you want to go. I said, I want to go to Hogs on the Hill, this barbecue joint. And I can remember my mom being like, take it easy. 5 minutes later, you got a kid out front of your place just puking brains.
Oh, really? Because you ate so much so fast?
Oh, my God, right. And It's like, this is early June, so it's already 90 degrees and 90% humidity. But, like, and kids, it was me, but kids just aren't smart enough to think. Like, as an adult, you tried to walk as far away as you could from their front entrance.
Oh, of course.
There's people coming in for dinner, and I'm out there puking up barbecue on the ground.
How is it, kid?
Maybe we should go someplace else.
I know, but we're not eating
This
it.
food is making people sick. Look, John.
Like, that kid looks ill.
He is. Look at him. He's heaving. He's dry heaving now.
What was the most unique rule of the house you had growing up? 206-421-ROCK.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
$20 million, $19 million, $6 million. These are all awards recovered for clients of Phillips Law Firm. To win big, you have to fight big. And Phillips Law has been fighting the too-big-to-fail insurance industry for decades. Not every case will have a multi-million-dollar outcome, but Phillips Law will fight just as hard to recover the outcome you deserve. If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or on the job, call or click today at 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.